Welcome to the Daily Bite. I'm your host, Pastor Steve Andrews.
We continue the study of the book of Jeremiah with chapter 40. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh after Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, had let him go from Ramah, when he took him bound in chains along with all the captives of Jerusalem and Judah who were being exiled to Babylon. The captain of the guard took Jeremiah and said to him, Yahweh your God pronounced this disaster against this place. Yahweh has brought it about and has done as he said. Because you sinned against Yahweh and did not obey his voice, this thing has come upon you. Now behold, I release you today from the chains on your hands. If it seems good to you to come with me to Babylon, come, and I will look after you well. But if it seems wrong to you to come with me to Babylon, do not come. See, the whole land is before you. Go wherever you think it good and right to go. If you remain, then return to Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylon appointed governor of the cities of Judah, and dwell with him among the people. Or go wherever you think it right to go. So the captain of the guard gave him an allowance of food and a present, and let him go. Then Jeremiah went to Gedaliah the son of Ahikam at Mizpah, and lived with him among the people who were left in the land. When all the captains of the forces in the open country and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah the son of Ahikam governor in the land, and had committed to him men, women, and children, those of the poorest of the land who had not been taken into exile to Babylon, they went to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, Johanan the son of Kareah, Seraiah the son of Tanhumeth, the sons of Ephe the Netophathite, and Jezaniah the son of a Maacathite, they and their men. Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, swore to them and their men, saying, Do not be afraid to serve the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. As for me, I will dwell at Mizpah, to represent you before the Chaldeans who will come to us. But as for you, gather wine and summer fruits and oil, and store them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities that you have taken. Likewise, when all the Judeans who were in Moab and among the Ammonites, and in Edom, and in other lands, heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant in Judah, and had appointed Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, as governor over them, then all the Judeans returned from all the places to which they had been driven, and came to the land of Judah, to Gedaliah at Mizpah, and they gathered wine and summer fruits in great abundance. Now Johanan the son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces in the open country came to Gedaliah at Mizpah, and said to him, Do you know that Baalis, the king of the Ammonites, has sent Ishmael the son of Nethaniah to take your life? But Gedaliah the son of Ahikam would not believe them. Then Johanan the son of Kareah spoke secretly to Gedaliah at Mizpah, Please let me go and strike down Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and no one will know it. Why should he take your life, so that all the Judeans who are gathered about you would be scattered, and the remnant of Judah would perish? But Gedaliah the son of Ahikam said to Johanan the son of Kareah, You shall not do this thing, for you are speaking falsely of Ishmael.
This is the word of the Lord.
So today's text is going to pick up where we left off yesterday. That is, that Nebuchadnezzar has basically sacked Jerusalem, destroyed that city, and he has given Nebuzaradan command over Jeremiah the prophet, instructing him not to harm him. So that's where we're picking up. Nebuzaradan brings him out of the captain of the guard, the court of the guard, I should say, and this text, chapter 40 here, mentions that he lets him go from Ramah. There was no mention of Ramah yesterday. Ramah is not far from Jerusalem, though. It's a city about 5 miles north, perhaps, a village. And so here, Nebuzaradan has Jeremiah in chains, and he's taking him at the moment back with the captives to Babylon. And he's going to make him an offer. But before he does, he's going to announce something that's really quite astonishing when you think about it. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard of the king of Babylon, acknowledges that Yahweh has done this. Yahweh, the God of Israel, pronounced this disaster against this place. Yahweh has brought it out because Yahweh's people refused to listen to Yahweh. Now, he does say Yahweh, your God, so it's possible here. That's an important link for us to see. This could be the idea of simply being polytheistic, of a culture that's used to having many gods, in which case what you're looking at is essentially the idea that was held by many at the time that each nation had their own god, and that the various gods then were responsible for the rise and falls of their respective nations. That maybe one god was stronger than the other, so he came and conquered. Or maybe, in this case, maybe Yahweh just got angry with you all and defeated you. But it's intriguing and astonishing, really, because he's right. That even if that is the case, I'm not sure that this is genuine faith, but even if what I just described is the case here, Nebuzaradan is correct. That Yahweh has done this. Yahweh brought it about, just as Yahweh said he would do. So he's prophesied it beforehand. Nebuzaradan is familiar with these prophecies. And Yahweh has done this thing because they did not listen to his voice. English is confusing. You can be singular or plural. In verse 3, it is plural. These are all plural words. So because the people of Judah sinned against Yahweh, because the people of Judah did not obey his voice, this thing has come upon the people of Judah. So don't read this as Jeremiah and try to figure out what sin Jeremiah committed that led to Jeremiah being taken into exile. No, Jeremiah has not been perfect. We saw him lie in the previous chapter. We saw him earlier in the book where he opposed Yahweh and accused Yahweh of deceiving the people and so forth. But for the most part, Jeremiah has been faithful in his call to be a prophet to the Lord. So Nebuzaradan, following the order of his king, releases Jeremiah, unbinds the chains that are on his hands, and he makes him an offer. Essentially, he lays out 3 options for him. 1, return to Babylon with Nebuzaradan. If he does, Nebuzaradan personally will look after him. But if Jeremiah does not want to go to Babylon, he can remain there in the land, and he can live with Gedaliah among the people.
Now, I should mention this very quickly. I failed to mention this yesterday. This is not the same Gedaliah from chapter 38. So chapter 38, Gedaliah is one of the men who helped demand that Jeremiah the prophet be cast into the cistern. Then in chapter 39, the instruction from the king of Babylon to entrust Jeremiah to this Gedaliah. Different Gedaliahs. Gedaliah in chapter 38 is Gedaliah the son of Pashur. Chapter 39 is Gedaliah the son of Ahikam. So not the same man. A lot of similarities in names and often the same names being used. And so this referent, this is why the son of so-and-so is such a common Old Testament referent, is to help us see these things when they occur.
And the third option, which we see right at the end of his speech at the end of verse 5, go wherever you think it right to go. The land is before you. Nebuzaradan is willing to simply let Jeremiah walk wherever he wants. This could be a fun conversation with your children. If you had the opportunity to live anywhere, go anywhere, where might you go? More particularly in this context, if your home was gone, your home had been destroyed, and you had this opportunity to go somewhere new, where would you go? Would you go to the place where you might be well cared for? Would you go someplace else? How would you decide something like that? Jeremiah chooses in verse 6 to go to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Mizpah is a little south from Ramah, so it's not a far walk, about 1.5 miles. It's 3.5 miles north of Jerusalem. There actually are multiple Mizpahs, but likely the one right by Jerusalem is the one in mind here. So Jeremiah is going to live with Gedaliah, which is an interesting decision, as we recall from chapter 38, that Gedaliah was one of the ones who had helped to put Jeremiah into the cistern for his teaching, for his sharing of Yahweh's word. But Jeremiah is willing to put his trust in this man, that he will provide and care for him. When the captains of the forces in the open country, verse 7, so we've got the idea here being that Babylon came to Jerusalem and destroyed it, but that Babylon has not made a complete and total utter sweep of the entire land of Judah. They didn't go through it, comb it from one place to the next and make sure that they killed everyone. So we've got some straggling troops that managed to survive out in the open country away from the cities, and now they hear that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has appointed Gedaliah to serve as governor of this now Babylonian territory, and that he has left the poorest of the land with him. And so these men decide to send some to Mizpah to meet with Gedaliah. So we're going to see the list there in verse 8. Ishmael, Johanan, Seraiah, Ephi, Jezaniah, they and their men. Ishmael and Johanan here in the next chapter or so are going to both be highly noteworthy for what's about to happen. So keep them in mind. Gedaliah gives them an order. Do not be afraid to serve the Chaldeans. Now, this actually goes back to what Jeremiah has been prophesying all along. Go back to chapter 29, to Jeremiah's letter to the exiles, that they should build houses and live in them, plant gardens and eat their produce, take wives and have sons and daughters, take wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage, that they may bear sons and daughters, multiply there, do not decrease, but seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile. Pray to Yahweh on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. And it's the promise that the Lord is going to leave them there for a period of time. He's going to provide and care for them in that place, but then he's going to restore them. He's going to bring them back to the land of Judah. And so it is that Gedaliah seems to be picking up on such a word. Do not be afraid to serve the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land, serve the king, it shall be well with you. God will provide, God will care. Serve this new king. This is very well said, actually. They should not be afraid. They should do what they can, and the Lord will provide for them. Really, this is true of us. Just replace the word Chaldean with whoever your governor is today, or whoever your government is today. I know that there are listeners to this podcast from a few different countries in the world, so this fits, right? Do not be afraid to serve whoever the Lord has put as governor over you. Serve them. Do not fear them, and dwell in that place, and it shall be well with you. That does not necessarily mean things will go nicely in life, that you'll have a rich abundance and that you'll be able to have a really nice and luxurious home. But things will go well with you because Jesus is for you. He will give you your daily bread, and he is your Savior who has rescued you already from sin, death, and the devil. So even if your king is a wicked king, it will still go well with you. Every governing authority comes from God. Romans chapter 13, verse 1. Verse 2 continues on that if we resist the governing authority, we are therefore resisting God, because he sent them. So serve them, honor the king, whoever the king may be. As for me, I will dwell at Mizpah to represent you before the Chaldeans who will come to us. So Gedaliah seems to be off to a good start. Let's phrase it that way. He's willing to intercede when the Chaldeans come. So the Chaldeans are the new rulers, and he's willing to fight on behalf of the people. And I shouldn't say fight, politically fight, to stick up for them as a good leader sticks up for and cares, provides for his people. And so he's offering to do that for them. And then he instructs them to gather wine, summer fruits, and oil, store them in vessels. Dwell in your cities that you have taken. That's not cities as in fortified cities like Jerusalem, because we learned recently here in the book of Jeremiah that those were all torn down, with the exception of 3, Jerusalem, Azekah, and Lachish from chapter 34, verse 7. Jeremiah has now noted that Jerusalem's gone, so whether or not Lachish and Azekah still stand at this point is debatable, but these men have taken new cities. So they've taken towns, villages, the places that were left over after Babylon carried off people into exile. They've made them their home. So also they are to store things. They're to store up, just like that letter that I read. Live in these places. Dwell there. This will be good. You can also read the storing up, especially I think in verse 12, that they gathered wine, summer fruits in great abundance. So you have a remnant of people, and they, as they go and live in these new places, they are gathering together what they can find and storing it. So as you think about the aftermath of a disaster and how people then sort through the rubble to find what supplies they can, and that's what they have to start rebuilding with, that's almost the picture here as well. So Verse 11, we learn that other Judeans, so other people of Judah, Judeans are what they'd be called, have been living in other places. Moab is to the southeast of the Salt Sea. Ammonites are also southeast of the Salt Sea, north of Moab. Edom is south of the Salt Sea. And in the other various lands that they've been scattered to, they've heard, news travels, gets around, that Judah has a Judean leader, Gedaliah, in place of Babylon, serving the king. And so they have come back to this place and again gathered into great abundance. The last paragraph is going to set us up for text tomorrow. Johanan, son of Kareah, comes before Gedaliah and informs him that the king of the Ammonites, so one of those neighboring nations to the southeast of the Salt Sea, I guess more east of the South Sea, southeast of the Jordan River, Baalis has instructed Ishmael to kill Gedaliah. Now, note, Gedaliah is a servant of the king of Babylon. If you kill the servant of the king of Babylon, you are making war against the king of Babylon. Not a wise decision. But this is what the man claims. Johanan says Ishmael has been sent to take your life. Gedaliah does not believe him in this word, so Johanan takes him aside privately, tells him again, and offers to go and take care of the problem, offers to go kill Ishmael himself. Now, Gedaliah once again does not believe him, says he's speaking falsely about Ishmael, and essentially then acts as though the matter is settled. And this might be a spot for a family conversation. Did the king make the right decision? Before we read tomorrow's text and we see the outcome, did the king handle this well? On the one hand, there is something good about what he has done. He has chosen not to participate in what could be viewed as gossip. He does not know if this thing is true or not. On the other hand, he has also not taken a threat against, God's governing authority. He has not taken it seriously. So it could be argued that maybe the best thing he should have done would have been to have summoned Ishmael and to at least have had that conversation and say, this accusation has been brought forward. What do you have to say for yourself? Is this true? Of course, Ishmael would deny such a thing, most likely, but maybe it would have had a better result. We'll see how this plays out tomorrow as Gedaliah sticks up for Ishmael in today's text.